All right, we're here today with Mike Lewis, our February member profile for CrossFit NapTown. Mike's been with us for a little over a year now. What are some of the reasons that you decided to join CrossFit a year ago, and how's your mind changed since you started back then?
Good question. A little over a year ago, I started developing a lot of injuries. I was an ex-runner and I ran a lot, and I started getting a lot of injuries. And I knew that I had to start getting into cross training. And I happened to know somebody at a bike store that had started doing CrossFit, and he suggested to check out CrossFit. So on December 31st of 2011, I came here and I did my first workout. And I think it was Hidalgo? Was it
Hidalgo, yes.
Yeah. So I loved it. I came in again in January and joined CrossFit. Was really excited about it. I love the WODs. I love the people really make a difference. The community, and it was something I really truly enjoyed, and I really looked forward at the end of each day after work coming in and doing the CrossFit.
So when you first joined, I know what my decision and the coach's decision would be, but what would you say was your biggest hindrance and probably something that you still work on to this day, and how have you developed that, if you know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Well, we all have our areas of opportunities. Mine was, I would say, was the squats. I couldn't get full depth when I showed up last year. Besides that, I couldn't climb a rope. I couldn't do a double under. I couldn't get into handstand push-up, and just through persistence and a lot of perspiration and sweat, I've been able to improve, get squat depth. I can do double unders. I can do handstand push-ups. I can do pull-ups, and I can climb the rope. So I've come a long ways in the last year, and just encourage those who have recently took up CrossFit to just keep plugging away at it and keep track of your results, and you'll just be amazed at how far you'll come in a rather short period of time.
So one thing I definitely would say as a coach's perspective that you've taken on full force on your own to help you get improvements was your mobility. Tell me a little bit about your mobility plan and what you just saw or you finally realized you had to work on it and how you've taken that on throughout the year.
Yeah, good question. I knew that in order to improve at CrossFit, one of the first things I was going to have to do was I was just going to have to get more mobility in my hips. So I started coming in before class, usually 15-20 minutes earlier, just focusing on my hips and trying to get squat depth. Using foam rollers, using the lacrosse ball, using the bands. Also, I would spend time after class stretching out the shoulders. But without a doubt, the priority became just being able to get into squat depth. I knew that if I could get deeper into the squats, improve my mobility overall, that I would do much better in CrossFit.
So not just in CrossFit being better, but before you joined here, you were really into biking and running.
Yes.
And some of just outdoor activities. How have you seen improvements in those areas, and how so?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Actually, I bike less and I run less than I did before, but my performance is better in both of those areas after starting the CrossFit. Perfect example is this: is last year I ran the mini marathon, and I did it in under an hour and a half, and it was my fastest time in 15 years, and it was I put in the least amount of miles probably in the last 15 years. So I was amazed. Everybody was amazed when I told them the story about CrossFit. And as soon as I came across, shortly after that, you came across the finish line and met up with my friends, they just couldn't believe it. And I hadn't seen some of them, in 6 months or so. And they just immediately asked me, they knew I wasn't training a lot, and they just asked me what I was doing, and I told them I was doing CrossFit.
So obviously it's been a great helper in your sports life and your running life, your biking life, and just your fitness life. But what have you seen CrossFit do for your personal life? Do you feel more energized with your kids, with your family, with your work performances? Has it helped in those areas as well?
I'll start with my family. First of all, it's helped me influence my kids. My kids are now starting to get more involved in CrossFit at school. They have something called Sport Fit. My wife Cheryl recently joined NapTown CrossFit, and really excited that she got involved. Again, it's helped me to just, I would say, on a working area or in professional space, just helps me to just keep moving forward, and push through, especially the tough times. So it's helped me in a lot of different facets or a lot of different dimensions in my life.
Last year when you first joined, this thing was coming up that you had no idea what it was called, the CrossFit Open.
Yeah.
The coaches kind of persuaded you into trying it. You were excited about it, but you didn't know what you were getting yourself into. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the CrossFit Open last year, what you're looking forward to this year and in the future with just the CrossFit Open goals.
Yeah, first of all, you're right. I didn't have a clue what this thing was about. I really didn't know much about CrossFit. I joined CrossFit in January, and the Open started, I think, at the end of February. So I'd only been in it maybe 6 weeks, and it was an absolute blast. The first thing I like to talk about is the people. It was a lot of fun. Every Saturday we'd get together, I think sometime around noon, and it was organized in these events. And it was just absolute blast having all these people cheering you on and encouraging you to get through these exercises. The other thing is all the there was 5 different workouts, and each workout each week you could at least, everybody could get through some portion of the movements. For example, one week, the first week was all burpees. Everybody got through burpees. Second week, I believe, was power snatches, but you could at least start with a lower weight, get through that, and move up. And then when I thought, well, I didn't do very well. Then I found out, well, you know what? Half the people were in the same situation I was in, and it was fun to look at your scores and go on there and just get into a lot of the data. The other neat thing that was about it was the system that they've got, the technology that you go in and you log your information, and the social kind of networking that goes along with it. But it was an absolute blast. I highly recommend it to everybody to get involved, and it's just a really good time, and you'll like it.
So as the Open goes, it's in age groups and categories.
Right.
And for those of you that don't know, we'll touch on it in a second. You're the golden eagle of CrossFit NapTown. What are your goals for this 2013 CrossFit Open and maybe in the future?
Yeah, last year in my age group, from 50 to 54, I was placed 233rd. And this year what I'd like to do is be able to place in the top 100. And then next year I'd like to cut that down in half and place in the top 50.
That's a wonderful goal. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it is. I believe the top 50 make it all the way to California. So.
Actually, it's a top 20.
Oh, the top 20.
It's pretty tough there, but I'm willing to give it everything I can.
It's fun to give you something to compete at an older age when sports are kind of in your rearview mirror. So speaking of competing at things, a couple weeks ago here, the Indianapolis Indoor Rowing Championships was hosted by the Indianapolis Rowing Center. And tell us a little bit about your experience. And I believe you finished with the top award. What was that in?
That was in the 2000K row, and it was a great event. Of course, it helps when you have an Olympic rower sit down behind you and help you coach you through it as well. But it was a great event that was organized. I didn't have a lot of rowing experience, other than the only rowing experience I really had was with CrossFit, and the only time I really did it is when we did it in our WODs. And I think I just kind of showed up as kind of a no-name. Nobody knew who I was, and I think they all knew who they were. There's people that came in from Michigan, people that came from Chicago, and they've been doing it yearly. And then I won this event, and they started asking me lots of questions about rowing, and they figured it out that I didn't know anything about rowing. I was like, and so they were interested to hear my story, and I said, well, I've been doing rowing in CrossFit, and that's pretty much about it. And I just do rowing when they tell us to go do rowing. So it was a great event, and a lot of fun, and met a lot of interesting people. And we had a CrossFit NapTown, had a lot of people involved, and I really enjoyed the day. It was a great time.
Well, as you can all see, Mike's been here for just over a year. He's tried a little bit of everything. He's dabbled in marathons and rowing clinics and the CrossFit Open. And his life has been traveling and other things. What are some advice you'd give to somebody that's kind of on the border about not sure if they want to try CrossFit, and some advice you'd give them, and just something to kind of close out on, a favorite quote or whatever it might be?
Well, advice, I'd give it a try. I would sign up. I'd make a plan to at least do it for a 3-month period, a minimum. As far as encouragements, words of encouragements, persistence, patience, and of course, lots of perspiration.
There you go. Mike Lewis, February 2013 member profile. Thank you, Mike. Good luck at the Open this year.